Well, hi everyone. I am Dr. Ngamjahao, Kipgen. I am teaching in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences. My specialized discipline is sociology, and within that, I'm interested in the teaching ecology and society, environment and development. And I hope you all are fine. And by now, since it is on the verge of completion of the fourth week, I'm sure that you all must be familiar with some of the basic concepts of the course. And as we all know, the course broadly is being uh, put at ecology and society. So one may wonder why the study of ecology and society is being narrowed down and mostly focuses within the sub-discipline of ecological anthropology. As I said, ecology and society is a very broad subject, and sometime you all might be finding it complex because I have at very length deal with most of the anthropologists, and within that the ecological anthropologists. Now, one of the main reason why this course is designed is simply because that we all know the urging need to address the ecological crisis which we have encountered in the past few decades. And also, we all know that science and technology is not really the answer. And science and technology alone cannot solve this crisis. So therefore, we need to find an alternative in a sense which is much more of a human approach. So therefore, nature, culture, and society in a way becomes significant and paramount. Now, coming to some of the queries in the groups, I've been asked about the queries about the assignment, and there are also some suggestions that can we move on to like a different modes of perspective, so and so forth. Now, some of the few questions which we have received so far is that how do we relate ethnobotany and this environmental relationship. Now, as we all know, there are societies who are very much closely uh, living in the close proximity with nature, or you can say the natural resources. So in their pursuit of this natural resource management, they have a very complex or holistic knowledge about the whole idea about forest, land, water, and in the broad sense we can say the natural resources. So therefore, these particular communities who are perceived to be traditional or indigenous community have in-depth knowledge about the natural resources, and which perhaps through their associations for generations, in a sense, have derived certain kinds of knowledge, and this particular knowledge, which many of the anthropologists would term as like Roy Alland and others, Paul Silitoy, they term it as traditional ecological knowledge or indigenous knowledge. And their knowledge, which is very much focused or confined to this botany in a way, can be termed as ethnobotany. How a particular ethnic community have that holistic knowledge about the botany in their surroundings or environment, in a way, is how these terminologies like ethnomedicine, ethnobotany emerges. So therefore, human relationship with nature has shaped up and developed to such an extent that uh, man's human intimate relationship with the environment in a way has an overarching impact, not just on their everyday or basic needs, but also in terms of enhancing their knowledge. So therefore, I'm pretty sure that you can sort of like contextualize the very term called ethnobotany, and then thereby try to link up with humans environmental relationship. So when we from a layman's point of view, when we talk about human environment relationship, uh, we sort of like tries to have a very shallow kind of understanding and approach, that is nature or environment is perceived to be something which just fulfill our basic needs, or uh, the way in which we depend on the environment is guided by this whole Western notion of exploitation, or how we end up, like exploiting the resources. So therefore, the way in which the indigenous community or the traditional society relate or share the relationship with the environment is different from uh, what we generally imagine as uh, uh, the everyday notion of knowledge of understanding. Now, if we look at the second queries, which perhaps talks about how the whole current environmental and ecological problems or issues which we encounter, in a way, can be you know solved by this neoliberal globalization. Now, keeping aside the neoliberal or neoliberalism, when we talk about globalization, it sort of enhances uh, the kind of boundaries which nations have, in a way, has changes to a large extent. And globalization, no doubt, has bring a lot of changes, not just to our behavior, outlook, lifestyle, so on and so forth. But to a large extent, globalization also tends to, influences so much so that even when we are, based somewhere in the nook or corner of the, country, we still know like how we consume and then we buy by what is really, considered to be uh, much more dominant in nature. Now, if you look at the main ideas of the neoliberal policies, some of the critics, in a way, argue that the neoliberal policies, in a way, aim at creating a framework for the economy that, in a way, enables to raise profits by minimizing the cost of investment. So, in other words, we can say that these particular practices of neoliberal policies reduces not just social security, but it also, in a way, tries to uh, uh, resist or tries to give emphasis on individualism. Now, since neoliberal policies or neoliberalism, in a way, is antithetical to group, or maybe if we, as I was discussing in the lectures, you might be seeing the stages of societies. where many of the pre-industrial societies, mostly the hunting, gathering, if not the horticulture or the pastoral societies, are mostly communitarian in nature. So the communitarian because they have that notion of sharing and caring, and the very notions of ownership or the concept of individual property does not arise. So therefore, to my mind, I don't think these neoliberal policies or neoliberal globalizations would in a way uh, try to bring or solutions to the kind of environmental or ecological problems or issues which we encounter, because many of these ecological issues again are because of the kind of like commodifying of nature, as we had discussed in the preceding lectures. And you could see that how the post-industrial societies had not just changed the mindset of the human society or individuals, because they tend to exploit nature just to satisfy their needs, and therefore there is an increasing like competition which arises among individuals, that is accumulation of wealth. So accumulation of wealth in a way enhances to or preach much more of an individual notion of approaches. So therefore it is very much antithetical to the idea of communitarianism, which we had witnessed in many of the pre-industrial societies. So therefore I might sound like very uh, uh, unconventional, or maybe I may sound in a way unmodern in my uh, way of like seeing things. But if we strictly follow this whole idea of uh, uh, the anthropologists, mostly when they discusses or when they study many of these uh, primitive or tribal societies, it is very much like understood that they do have share a certain kind of human nature symbiotic relationship, where nature is not perceived as a commodity, or not seen from the utilitarian perspective, but rather as something which in a way which needs to be nurtured so that they fulfill their basic or everyday needs. So therefore there is this reciprocal or symbiotic relationship which is witnessed even in the context of how human tends to uh, engages in trying to share the relationship with nature. So therefore this particular way of seeing things, that is to what extent neoliberal globalizations or the neoliberal policies would in a way free us from this clutch of these environmental or ecological problems or issues, is something which needs a lot of rethinking and revisiting, because as you go along with this course, rather this course in a way aims to debunk this notion of thinking. So I'm sure as we go along with the course, you'll have much more of uh, a holistic understanding of these issues. So the third question is to explain the very concept of what anthropology is. As we all know, anthropology is a discipline uh, which tends to study the human societies and culture, and also their development through different successive stages of evolution. And it includes the human biological and physiological characteristics and their evolution. And ecological anthropology, what we are, mainly focusing on these courses is a subdiscipline within anthropology. And anthropology again can be categorized into different broad, subgroups like cultural anthropology, social anthropology, physical anthropology. Now, physical anthropology is again much more, related with the pure science, or what we understood as the natural science. Whereas social and cultural anthropologies are much more interrelated. And mostly in the Indian context, this particular discipline of anthropology is sometimes there's an overlapping with the discipline of sociology. And many of the, who are an expertise would often write in their degree that uh, social anthropology and sociology. So therefore, anthropology is nothing but the kind of, like methodology which they engages is also different from sociology. Sociology, when you go back to the, emergence of this discipline, it began with the study of the industrial and the urban societies, whereas anthropology in a way begin with the study of the primitive or the indigenous or traditional societies. So therefore, the kind of universe which they engages also differs to some extent. Now, we also have some queries regarding why ecology and society is being combined. Now, as I said, the human society, no doubt, cannot be, really seen in isolations from the natural surroundings which we are engaged into. Now, if we take certain examples of the means of production, uh, maybe you can see it from the Marxian approaches or certain other things, but if you have an in-depth knowledge or understanding about these means of productions, human engages into relationship with uh, nature first by uh, you know in a much more practical sense. That is how humans evolve, and then to fulfill their basic needs. For example, let's say agriculture practices. So therefore, human society has that intricate and very much, like intimate relationship with their natural surroundings. For example, land, water, or maybe you can say the natural resources around us. So therefore, ecology, in a way, for quite some time, as I was discussed in the introductory part, that ecology has been, a discipline which is mainly undertaken by mostly the natural sciences, like the biologies, the, ecologies, so and so forth. But the past few decades have in a way witnessed that anthropologists mostly, tends to delve into looking at ecology, like we have human ecology, and then also we have how culture and materialism is related. So therefore, ecology and society cannot be seen in isolation, but the way in which these two rather is that the human society cannot be seen in isolations. So therefore, uh, one needs to, like takes into account what mm, ecology and society is. Now we also have some queries regarding like the career options in India in the field of ecology studies. I I don't have any, like a particular suggestion as such in this, but definitely uh, ecology environment, no doubt, is a hot cake, not just in India but also across the globe, because uh, if you have certain kinds of, like this whole idea of this climate change, global warming, and certain other, hot topics which are coming up. So therefore, if uh, one is interested in looking further within this discipline or this theme of this ecology, I'm pretty sure that it will have, a lot of prospects in future, not just in India but also abroad. Because and many of the social sciences, irrespective of, like anthropology, sociology, economics, so on and so forth, are in a way trying to, like interlink or try to, like interrelate their discipline by not just restricting to their, the conventional mode of methodology, but trying to bring in this whole theme of discipline of ecology, environment, so on and so forth. So therefore, many of the, uh, discipline today are multidisciplinary in nature. So therefore, there's also like a mix kind of methodologies which are being carried forward. So am I'll be happy to take more questions. Maybe if I'm not able to address in this live session, you can still pose questions, and then I'll be happy to respond. Maybe right back to you, and then certain other technicalities like sharing of these PowerPoint, so on and so forth, will be taken care of by the institute concerned, and we will definitely try to address to your queries and then see to your uh, needs. So I hope to interact with you again soon, and by now you are familiar with the, the uh, modes of assignment, the questions, so on and so forth. So if you you know listened through the lectures and then go through the, readings carefully, I'm sure many of those assignments, questions, and then certain other things will be not an issue, and it will be taken care of, not with less difficulty. So all the best, and I look forward to interacting with you soon. Thank you.